Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome back to the phenomenal FSReborn Embraer Phenom 300. Today we are going to fly from Kos to Lysium's brand new Heraklion, which is really a lovely looking airport, but make your own picture in today's video. Thank you very much to Lysium for providing me a review copy of that airport. And now I'd say we are going to go straight into this one. We are sitting on the general aviation apron here in Kos. The airliners are parking over there on the other side. And yeah, then I'd say we are not going to lose any time over here. Let's remove the covers, let's remove the chocks, and let's remove the engine covers, for which we probably have to walk behind the aircraft, and then we can get right into the pre-flight preparations for our NetJets flight right over. By the way, I really do love this livery. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for painting it. Available on flightsum.to if you have, if you're wondering why you don't have it included with the default. Alright, so let's board our Phenom, and today we have a slightly brighter cabin with a brighter finish on the seats, and I do believe the carpets as well, not 100% sure, but it certainly does look like it to me. Alright then, let's go ahead and make our way up front into the flight deck and take a seat on the captain's seat over here and start with a couple of basics by looking into the electronic flight bag and seeing what we got over there. So everything is good in terms of our maintenance status. Then let's go down and import our flight plan. Here it is, course to Heraklion, just a quick 25-minute flight, planned at 48-minute block times, we'll see about that. So looking down into the weather charts, lovely, not really covered. Area number 2 is turbulence, but above level 250, so should be fine for us today. Now for our route of flight, we are leaving Kos, and the weather is fantastic over here, and then over in Heraklion the weather is good as well. The forecast is a little gusty, so we'll see about that. 300 at 20, gust 30. The maximum crosswind limit for the Phenom is 28 knots, but this isn't completely cross. Runway is 27 over there, so that should be like 20, 22 knots-ish, so it should be fine. But with the gusty winds, Heraklion is always fun due to the topography of the airport, so let's see how that's going to evolve today. Now our outlet in Chania is pretty much same, good weather, wind down the runway, so no problem at all. With that in mind, looking into the top of our plan, we're leaving on time and arriving 20 minutes ahead of schedule, cruising level 220, and for the fuel that wants to take 1,500 pounds. Let's call it 2,000. Fuel is expensive these days, but nonetheless, we still want everything to be safe here. So 2,000 pounds is going to be the minimum we are going to take. Alright then, going down here, we will have just 4 passengers, 220 pounds cargo, and we'll call the fuel up here 2,000 pounds, like that. And, well, what are they thinking? I'm not that fat. Okay, and we'll get a co-pilot as well. That looks good to me, so let's go ahead, roll out the carpet, the ground power, connect that thing, and then we can load our aircraft in real time. Alright, in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started with our pre-flight procedures down here. So those things are coming on, and you are coming on. I don't know why the landing gear lever is in the up position, definitely not supposed to be there. Alright, and that's the pre-flight procedures. Park brake is set. Fantastic, then let's go ahead and start the power up. So batteries are coming on. External power unit is coming on, and with that our aircraft is starting to come to life. Okay, CVR test, we can start with that one straight away. We'll wait a little bit with the terrain test. That thing should rather quickly be working again, but let's give it a moment down here before we execute the TORS test. We can already start with the traffic though, I think. Well, we are gonna see in a couple of moments. Now, let's go ahead and find our chart.
System test passed.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and find our charts and get ourselves the ATIS so that we know the runway in use. And that's 126.955.
Zulu.
Like that.
Arriving and departing runway 32. Wind 300 at 10. Visibility 10. Scattered at 1500. Temperature 20. Dew point 14. QNH 1008. Transition level 70. Advise on initial contact. You have information Lima.
Alright, ATIS Lima it is.
Coast Airport. Information Lima. 0620 Zulu. Arriving and departing runway 32. Wind
32, perfect.
10. Visibility 10. Scattered at 1500. Temperature 20. Dew point 14. QNH
Sierra X-ray Echo Bravo Oscar, runway 33 taxi via hold short of runway 15.
Advise on initial contact.
Alright, QNH 1008 and then the rest is on board, so let's put 1215 up there. And let's also select tower on 121.05. Okay, good. Everything has booted, then let's go ahead and continue with the terrain awareness test. At the same time, I think the fuel truck should be arriving, like any moment. Yep, still on its way. Okay, fine. So, TORS test is in progress.
System test. Okay.
Fantastic. Then, takeoff data, we just heard it. Our outside temperature is 20 degrees. So let's go ahead and send that data to the auto thrust reserve. Here we go, data accepted. Then we can come to the flight plan, which I am going to import from SimBrief. So, course to Heraklion on the fraction 205 Tango, import, thank you. Procedures, departure, runway 32 it is. And that means we can pretty much proceed as filed on the GLOS 1 Delta departure. Which is right down here, and load, thank you. Now for the arrivals, we're planned on the Labux 1 Alpha arrival. Sequence, none. Okay. Well, that's probably a bug. Let's cancel that, see what happens if we try that again. Aha, here we go. Towards your course and load. And then for the approach, we are looking at the RNAV approach. Of course, there is nothing available from your course. No comment on that. But doesn't matter, then I'll just take it with vectors like that. And that's fine for the time being. Okay, so VNAV. Probably going to ensure that we aren't too fast, but we got the speed restriction of 210 in there anyway. For the climb, nonetheless, let's select 210 knots down there as well until 2,500 feet, 4 miles from the airport. Transition 5000 is correct, so let's continue back to the init page. Landing field elevation comes from the FMS, that's fine. And we will have to wait with the weights, so that's that for now. Fuel, 2,500 are on board. That means we can basically complete the refueling down here. Thank you. And we'll have to wait with the rest until the boarding is completed. So, not much more to do over here. One thing more that we have to do right now is the QNH 2977, like that for the standby instruments. Alright, back to hectopascals, then nav1, nav2, and having a look at the departure. So GLOS 1 Delta, let's go ahead and pin the airport chart, and then SIDS GLOS 1 Delta departure is right on here. Runway 32, climb straight at 1000 and turn left. Why would we turn left? Ah, okay, so VOR unserviceability, okay. Yeah, that's fine. So Gilos 1 Delta. Actually, the 1 Alpha is better, isn't it? Why don't we request the Gilos 1 Alpha departure? I'll tell you what, let's do that. So we'll just quickly have to replan that stuff. ATC is probably gonna give it to us anyway. So, I'm going to do that down here. Gilos 1 Alpha. Okay, that looks better. Load. Thank you. And that's now straight ahead to 1000, left, maximum 210, bank 15, track 154, intercept radial 202, outbound from course VOR. That looks better, doesn't it? So runway 32, 1000, intercept 210, and then 202, 2 Gilos. That looks good. And then we can go ahead and tune those frequencies, so course on 1090. Okay, like that. Good, so that stuff's done. Then we got the conventional backup, we got the normal departure. As far as I can see, there is no initial climb published over here, so we'll have to see about that. Let's just dial in, well, something. 4,000 or so. Like this, okay. Good, then we have all that stuff, so let's go ahead and see what our boarding is doing. Approaching. Alright. Well, our airplane is fully prepared, so we don't need to worry about any of that stuff anymore. And while the passengers are arriving, let's already go over the power-up checklist, and we can turn the IFE on down there and make sure the oxygen is pushed down. Alright, like that. Perfect. So, power-up checklist. Battery 1 and 2 switches are on, GPU is on, IFE refreshment switch on, CBR test complete, transponder is set, TCAS is automatic, and that's the power-up checklist complete. Okay, and the light test is looking good. Stall protection. Stall. So it should say stall 3 times, and thereafter we should get the stick shaker. That's what I got from one of you who's currently doing a type rating on the real Phenom. Who commented underneath my video. But it looks like that is not working just yet. Okay. And ice protection test. Okay. Good, so before start checklist. Oxygen mask, flow, and microphone are checked. Test panel is tested, fire protection tested, smoke detector tested, annunciator is tested, test panel off. Fasten seatbelt signs are on, external lights set, emergency light switch on, fuel quantity and balance is 2,000 pounds. Oxygen pressure for dispatch, let's go ahead and check that real quick. And that is good. Okay, thrust lever is idle, parking brake set, engine ignition switch is auto, and standing by for the doors. So, passengers taking selfies, that's good. Then we can head out and load the cargo. Looks like they brought quite a bit of things here. 3 bags. Now, let me just show you that cargo loading in action over here. By the way, this is quite a fantastic sight, isn't it? I really like the way the Phenom looks. See that? You open the door, and that starts loading the cargo. And here we go. Pretty full, but hey. Alright, so that stuff is done. Then we can head right back inside and wait for our boarding to complete. We've got 2 on board, the rest is still taking selfies, I guess. And our FO has made it here back from the walk around as well. Alright, and here's number 3 and number 4. Fantastic. So then let's close that thing. And here we are. So doors closed, before start checklist complete. Then let's go into the weight and balance. Empty data is checked. Then we can import the weights from MSFS. Fuel can be synchronized. Taxi fuel is going to be 120. And the reserve fuel is 442. Alright, let's accept that. For the takeoff calculation, course, show METAR. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so load the METAR. Runway is full length. Takeoff flaps 1 and takeoff data looks good. Accept, and everything is shown, and with that the initialization is complete and can be accepted. Alright, so this is looking good. Then let's call tower. We had information Lima. Let's call the tower and get our IFR clearance. Coast Tower Fraction 205 Tango, information Lima, request IFR clearance to Heraklion.
Give me 1 second for that clearance.
Alright, he's hard at work.
Fraction 205 Tango, clear to Heraklion, via the Gilos 1 Alpha departure runway 32. Initial climb to 4,000. Departure on 119er decimal niner 5 squawk 4413.
Fraction 205 Tango is cleared to Heraklion via the Gilos 1 Alpha departure runway 32, climb maintain 4000, departure 119.95, squawk 4413.
Fraction 205 Tango, read back correct.
Okay, so, all that lovely stuff is done. Our flight plan is filed for 20, so we can already request startup. Let's just quickly finish up the departure briefing, though. So we are going to depart from Heraklion's runway 32, full length it is, and we got the Gilos 1 Alpha departure. Climb to 4,000 feet. 4,000 feet is also the minimum safe altitude, and in terms of extra fuel we got 500 pounds, which gives us roughly half an hour. Now our taxi is with a single hotspot, that's the crossing on runway 32. We'll see whether they make us backtrack or whether we cross and then... actually, yeah, we have to backtrack anyway. So that's pretty much the threat. Stop margin is more than plenty, and for an immediate return we can come back over here. We're below the max landing weight, so that's not a problem. Our engine outset is straight at 25 miles, pick up the holding, and again 4,000 keeps us safe for that one. Now I've got nothing special, nothing non-standard, and I have no threats. Anything from your side? No? Alright, fantastic, then that's our briefing completed. Fraction 205 Tango, request startup.
Fraction 205 Tango, startup approved.
Startup approved, Fraction 205 Tango. Alright, so start sequence is gonna be 1 then 2, there's the ramp agent. Strobes on, and then we'll commence engine number 1 start. Alright, good start on 1, starting 2. We'll do the engine start first, then we'll deal with the messages. Okay, here's 2 good starts. After start procedure. And that's all looking fantastic. So, after start checklist. And first of all, we got Baro miscompare. That's 1008, that's 1008, but that is not. Here we go, that's better. Okay, so GPU is disconnected, ELEC emergency button pushed in, battery 1 and 2 voltage is checked, they must be at least 23.5 volts, and they are. So ELEC emergency button push out. Then SWPS is test panel off, FCS control panel is set, engine takeoff data is set, LFE set, takeoff speed set, speed selector knob auto, transponder 4413 set, TCAS is automatic, altimeters QNH 1008, flight control. Are checked, trims.
Trim.
We need 9.3. Now come on. Oh god, okay, for some reason I can't trim it precisely. Well, 9.1 is gonna work as well. Okay, flaps set for takeoff, external lights set, ice protection is not required off. And that's the default, the after start checklist complete. Fraction 205 Tango, request taxi. So 3-2 via Bravo, I guess.
Fraction 205 Tango, runway 32 taxi via Bravo, Bravo 1.
132 taxi Bravo, Bravo 1, fraction 205 Tango. Okay, park and brake off, let's go. And everything is clear.
Fraction 205 Tango, cross runway 14.
Fraction 205 Tango, request to backtrack runway 32.
Fraction 205 Tango, runway 32, backtrack approved.
Backtracking runway 32 approved, fraction 205 Tango. Okay, to review the takeoff briefing, it's a left seat takeoff, runway 32, flaps 1, noise abatement procedure number 2, and the takeoff speeds 106, 106, 117, and flap retraction at 124. Climb at 4,000, which is a little bit of a threat because it's a rather low level of altitude. We do have a speed restriction at 210, and we have an airplane that's going to climb pretty rapidly, so early setting a climb thrust and then early selection of vertical speed with a thrust reduction are paramount over here. Apart from that, I've got nothing special or non-standard. High terrain is a little bit of a thing on this departure, but is not really going to be a problem for us. And that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions or suggestions? No? Alright, then that's our departure briefing completed. Okay, avionics are set up now. So we'll probably have to fly those 15 degrees angular bank for the initial turn manually, but that is not a problem. But it will mean a high workload.
Approaching 3, 2. Runway 3, 2.
Okay, here we are. So, heading cell is synced, and then we are basically ready to go. So, before takeoff, checklist to the line.
Takeoff okay.
So, takeoff config check, cast messages check, fasten seatbelt signs on, yaw damper off, auto throttle off, and that's it. Fraction 205 Tango, ready for departure.
Fraction 205 Tango, runway 32, winds 300 at 11, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 32, cleared for takeoff, fraction 205 Tango. Okay, fantastic. Are you ready? Then, continue the checklist below the line. Transponder is auto, TCAS auto, passengers advised, lights on before takeoff checklist complete. Okay, ready? And timing. And takeoff. Thrust set. B1, rotate. Path of climb, gear up.
Flight director.
And flaps up.
High speed. High speed.
No high speed. The flaps are retracting already. Here we go. Okay, so 15 degrees of bank.
Fraction 205 Tango, contact course departure on 119.905.
119.905, fraction 205 Tango, see ya. Departure, fraction 205 Tango, passing 2,800, climbing 4,000.
Fraction 205 Tango, roger. Cross mark at 205.
What?
Fraction 205 Tango, course departure, identified. Climb via the seat.
Fraction 205 Tango, request climb to flight level 220. I hate this climb via the SID. They haven't implemented that correctly.
Fraction 205 Tango, climb flight level 220.
Climb on flight level 220, fraction 205 Tango. Okay, FMS level change. Let's go.
Fraction 205 205 Tango, directly 202 Quebec, then as filed, please.
Direct to the Quebec point, then as filed, fraction 202 Quebec. Alright. Quebec point, direct, insert. Here we go. Set standard. And standard is cross check, passing level 76 now. Alright, just update that direct once. Thank you. And here we go. Autopilot on. Alright, lovely. And with that we are on our way. Passing level 100. Lights off. We got a rather high pitch, but let's release the guests. Fantastic view, isn't it? Alright. With that, enough of that view. Let's get the sunshades up. And yeah, that's it for our initial departure. It's a fairly short flight, so we'll just monitor everything up to the cruise level, and then we can already start to prepare for the approach into Heraklion today. Just gotta love the rate of climb here. Looks like our guests don't like the sun either. All the sunshades closed where they are sitting. Yep. Hard at work, and someone's taking a dump right now. They just opened the door to the lavatory. Okay, after takeoff, climb checklist.
Fraction 205 Tango. Contact Ascent Center on 125.2.
125.2, fraction 205 Tango. Athena, good morning, fraction 205 Tango, passing level 183, climbing level 220. Vertical speed.
Fraction 205 Tango, Ascent Center identified. Good morning.
Okay, so after takeoff climb checklists, landing gear up, flaps up, thrust levers climb, and auto throttle not installed, speed selector auto, altimeters standard, yaw damper on, fasten seatbelt signs off, external lights set, weather radar, we'll stay on satellite weather today, and windshield 1 and 2 switches not required off after takeoff climb checklist complete. $2,000 to go. And 1,000 to go, more or less. So we don't have a top of descent in there just yet, but we'll get to figure that out soon. 1,000 to go.
Cleared for the BBEX 1 Quebec arrival.
We're accelerating towards 310. I'll let the plane accelerate, and once we're up at speed, then we're probably also up at altitude, and the speed buck is automatically going to change up to 310. So that's about as easy as it gets. Just going to monitor that closely as we are climbing so that we do not overspeed the airplane.
Fraction 205 Tango, expect the RNAV runway 27 approach into Nikos Kazantzakis.
Expecting the RNAV approach runway 27, fraction 205 Tango. Okay, lovely. And here we are, reaching 310. Let's start reducing our thrust. And here's alt capture.
Marabu 5 Tango Alpha, contact
Lovely.
Athens on 126.125.
Alright, here we are, up at cruising altitude.
5 Tango Alpha. Good day.
Then let's take a look into the approach charts for Heraklion. So, ground charts, we'll take that one, and that one. We don't need any departure charts today. Arrivals. So Labux 1 Alpha is planned right now. So that's basically from Labux to Irkos. So we'll pin this, and then we'll take the RMP-27. Which, funnily enough, has no transition available from there, but that's not a problem. I'm kind of feeling like taking the Gonzo transition and then joining Irkos up with forward 2, just in order to have some guidance. So, Gonzo is loaded, and then we'll delete Gonzo. And that should be good enough for us.
Macedonia Center, Aircrease 20, flight level 240.
Aircrease 20, radar contact.
Yeah. Irkos forward 2, I think that looks good. They're gonna keep it that way. By the way, I do love the configuration and management abilities that the G3000 has. It's a fantastic avionics suite. Okay, so let's have a look into our approach. Performance, landing data. So, weather. Show me that weather. 290 at 16 at the moment. 21, 1013. Wow, 5 hectopascals difference. That is a lot. Okay, here we go. So that's all set.
Fraction 205 Tango, descend via Labus 1 Alpha to 3000 into Nikos Kazantzakis, QNH 1012.
Descended by the Labux 1 Alpha, arrival down to 3000 on QNH 1012, fraction 205 Tango. Okay, set. 3000 is checked. And yeah, he said descent, not when ready descent, so vertical speed 1000, VNAV armed, and down we go. I told you this would be a short flight. Alright, so we got the weather, we got the runway, landing configuration is gonna be flaps full. And I'll add 5 knots as a safety margin down there. And that gives us our landing data. Looking good, we can accept this.
Aegean 142, descend and maintain altitude.
Then we also need a minimum.
Speed. Cleared for the Edula 1 Alpha arrival.
And that's 830.
Down to 7,000. Cleared for the
And that is
Alpha arrival
selected. I like it. Alright, fantastic. So we got all that good stuff. Then we're basically ready with the approach preparation, but just a cross-check down here for those waypoints. India Romeo 401 above 2300, and we got that. Then we got waypoint 400, 2000 feet, 3.4 degree glide, and waypoint 400, 2000, but 3 degree glide. Oh, that's not correct. Okay, that's better. 3.4 degrees. Okay, lovely. That thing goes down to the runway, and the missed approach then is a right turn India Romeo 700, right to Gonzo, climbing 3000, and we got 700, Gonzo 3000. Okay, that's all looking good so far. Alright, then we got the approach. We got the minimum, we got the landing data. I think that's everything we'll need. So let's just take a moment to talk about why Heraklion can be such a challenging airport, especially when you got strong winds. If you look at the airport down here, you can see it's situated right at the shoreline, with high mountains up to 5,100 feet in the south. Now the MSA for this one up to 10,200, because over here the mountains are even higher. That means whenever there's wind from the south, you are absolutely in for turbulence, and on the final you could even get some lovely downdrafts because of the wind that's climbing over the mountains coming from the south, and then of course falling again on the other side. However, when the wind is coming from the north, you also have some problems because the airport itself is situated on a plateau. You can see up here, airport elevation is 115 feet, and that is not a gradually rising terrain.
Contact Heraklion approach on 118.025.
118.025, fraction 0205 Tango. Okay, that was 118.025. Heraklion approach, fraction 205 Tango, descending altitude 3000. Okay, just a good morning. I can live with that.
Vertical track.
Tracked. Alright, so today the winds are coming somewhere from here. That means the winds will be rising over the cliffs up here and then probably falling on the very short final behind the runway. So that means we can expect some possible downdrafts just in front of the runway threshold as we overfly the coastline. So, gotta be a little careful about that. Let's see the overview for runway 27 here, then you can see exactly what I mean. So, here's what it looks like. You got the cliffs over here, you got the cliffs over there. With the wind coming from here, it's gonna be turbulent over the city, and then it's gonna fall just over the cliff over here. And probably rise from that cliff over there. In other words, strong turbulence on short final is to be expected today. Alright, and that's pretty much it. Okay, good. So that's what I can offer you today. Gonna be an interesting one. Gonna be a very interesting one, for sure. Alright, so descent checklist, and we can turn the windshield heaters on now. So, windshield 1 and 2 switches on, pressurization, landing field elevation 80, that's the runway elevation, is checked. Landing speeds are set, and the next one is below 10,000. Okay, VNAV path. And Heraklion approach RMP 27. All right. Good, so that's our setup pretty much completed. Let's go ahead and also take a moment to do the approach briefing itself. So we'll be arriving in Heraklion with an RMP approach runway 27 and the MSA is up to 10,300 feet. We are going to use a minimum of 830 and the go around is a right turn to India Romeo 700, right again to Gonzo, climbing 3000. We've got no extra, well actually we do have plenty of extra fuel. 1000 1,575 right now, giving us about 45 minutes extra. Alright, thank you for that. Now we are going to use flight director guidance for the RMP approach using full flaps and manual braking to vacate the runway to the left hand side. The stop margin is about 5,000 feet, and for our taxi in, we come off to the left and then let me just get those chart out. So coming off to the left in Charlie and then probably via Delta somewhere to the apron down here. They might also put us somewhere here, not 100% sure yet. Business jet parking area here on the grass. Nah, we'll see about that. We will see about that. My guess is apron Tango. But if ATC sends us over there, then so be it. Okay, and that's pretty much all I got for the briefing. Anything from you? No? Alright. And that's our approach briefing completed. So we're about to reach 10,000 feet here. Let's start the speed reduction. Yeah, temperature 13, then we don't need anti-ice for those clouds. That is okay. We're approaching 10,000, speed is coming back, lights are coming on. Then we can quickly finish up that checklist. Okay, so below 10,000 feet, fasten seatbelt signs on, and that's the descent checklist complete. Alright, and here's 250 knots, looking good. So let's stow the sunshades, and I think Heraklion is right down there. So we got to remember that Iacos is the last waypoint that's on our official routing, so after that we will need ATC instructions, as we cannot simply just turn to India Romeo 402. We can of course always ask them if we can. But let's get a little closer and see if ATC says anything. If not, then we just have to help ourselves and ask. Alright, airport spotted down here. Okay, so set QNH. Fraction 205 Tango. Please confirm the QNH. That was unreadable. Please say again.
Fraction 205 Tango QNH 1008.
Roger. Fraction 205 Tango, can we proceed direct India Romeo 402? Direct 402 approved, fraction 205 Tango. Alright. Well, coming in a little fast, let's do something about that. Speed brake out. Just look at how bloody effective this thing is. But those are some huge speed brakes down there as well.
Fraction 205 Tango, descend altitude 3,000 feet, turn right heading 225 vectors for the RNAV runway 27 approach.
Right heading 225, descending 3000, vectors on off 27, fraction 205 Tango.
Fraction 205
Heading.
Tango, descend altitude 3,000 feet, turn right heading 225.
That's what I literally just read back. Okay, I don't believe this QNH 1008 thing.
9 miles from India, Romeo 400, turn right heading 235, descend altitude 2,000 feet until established, cleared for the RNAV runway 27 approach.
Heading 235 down 2000 until established, cleared on off runway 27, fraction 205 Tango. Okay, down 2000, heading 235 is looking good. Then let's activate vectors to final.
Flight director.
V-path is checked and approach is armed. And then just give me a level change here. Okay, and approach checklist.
Sunday 43 Quebec Sierra, contact Macedonia Center on 133.5.
External lights set, passengers advised, cross feet knob off, altimeters. So let's set 1013 over here. 1013 cross check and windshield heat 1 and 2 switches. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna need them, so off. And that's the approach checklist completed.
Fraction 205 Tango, contact Nikos, Kazanzakin Tower on 129.175.
129.175, fraction 205 Tango. Okay, vertical speed 2000, let's get her down into the glide slope. And then let's use a little more speed brakes. Tower, good morning, fraction 205 Tango, established on off 27. Okay, glide path capture. And speed brakes in, flaps 1.
205 Tango, Nikos Kazantzakis Tower, identified.
Go around altitude set.
05 Tango, runway 27, winds 290 at 16, cleared to land.
Runway 27, clear to land, fraction 205 Tango. Alright, gear down. Flaps 3. Had to get the flaps out before we overspeed. And I don't want to pull the speed brakes again. Loving the view. Greek islands are just fantastic, and Crete is probably one of the nicest to approach. Okay, flaps full. And landing checklist. So we'll just tick those off, open them again, and that's it. Alright, so we're approaching 3 miles, should be in 1220. And here we go, 3 miles, 1 to 20, 20 feet low. And we have the runway in sight, so we can continue visual. Okay, all manual. And flight direct off. Landing checklist. Yacht and prof, landing gear lever down and checked, flaps full, airspeed VREF, landing checklist complete.
Minimums.
Continue.
Minimums. Approaching 2.
7.
7.
Thank you. I'm flying a little bit faster. The runway is more than long enough anyway. So you can clearly see the cliffs over there, even though I would prefer them to be modeled in a little higher level of detail. They did some custom modeling right in front of the runway here, but there are so many cliffs. It would be nice if we had custom models for all of them. Alright, here we are.
100.
And here's the downdraft. Did you feel that? Ooh. Okay, idle. Gonna put it down inside the touchdown zone. Like that. Did you feel that downdraft on the short final there? That was exactly what I've been talking about.
Tango, welcome to Nikos Kazantzakis. Contact ground on 121.7.
121.7, fraction 205 Tango. Ground fraction 205 Tango, request taxi to the gate.
Fraction 205 Tango, taxi to stand L3 via Bravo Delta. Good day.
So 3 via Bravo and Delta, fraction 205 Tango, good day.
Fraction 205 Tango, not clear what you said. Say again.
Taxi is stand 3 via Charlie and Delta, fraction 205 Tango. Alright, and here we are. Welcome to Heraklion. Parking us in front of the passenger terminal. Interesting. I'm not sure yet whether I want to do that. For now, let's retract that, put the lights off, and the weather radar has always been off, so that's alright. Fantastic modeling with those bushes over there next to the runway. Gotta say, that looks really neat. And something tells me we're not parking right at the passenger terminal. It is a fantastically modeled terminal, which I am absolutely going to show you one day, but not with a business jet. We're gonna explore a different part of the apron today, and we'll definitely be taking airliners in and out, where we are going to explore the terminal over here. But today we're flying the VIP version. Okay, so after landing checklist. Flaps up, lights set, transponder auto, TCARS auto. After landing checklist complete. Fraction 205 Tango, request taxi to stand Tango 2. I'm gonna do it anyway, but let's see.
Fraction 205 Tango, taxi to overflow gate T2 via Delta. Good day.
Gate Tango 2 via Delta, fraction 205 Tango. Good day. Okay, no. Looks like I forgot to install the GSX profile, so let's just forget about GSX here. Where can we revoke the parking services? Here. Alright, and bye-bye. Alright, we'll be going over here because those just look fantastic. So we'll take Tango 3. Lights off. And here we go. Here's Tango 3. These just really give you that Greek feeling. Lots of nature around the airports. That's what Greek airports usually look like. And Lithium have done a fantastic job capturing that. Alright, and here we are. So, park and brake is set and shutdown checklist. Thrust levers idle, emergency park and brake, apply windshield 1 and 2 switches off, ADS probe knob auto, engine 1 and 2 switches off, wing and stabilizer switch off, start stop knobs off. Alright, MFD status page check. And this is all looking good, and fasten seatbelt signs off. Alright, and that's the shutdown checklist complete. So, let's complete the leaving airplane checklist as well here. IFE power switch is off, oxygen valve pulled to cat out. Then, emergency light switch off. Battery 1 and 2 switches off.
GPWS, system failure.
And well guys, that's it. Welcome to Heraklion. Let's go ahead and initiate our deboarding sequence. And then we can get right over here and open up that door. Well, and that's what I can offer you today. I do hope you enjoyed this one. Both the scenery as well as this little fantastic flight in the Embraer Phenom. I'm absolutely loving that airplane. You're probably going to see more of it in the next couple of days. For now, thank you very much for flying with me. I do hope you enjoyed it. Leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. As always, like, comment and subscribe. And if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to welcoming you again on the next one.